Hello, welcome to this lecture. In this lesson, we are going to be learning how to render our check valve in SolidWorks Visualize. And SolidWorks Visualize is a version now that is in addition to SolidWorks Standard and SolidWorks Professional. So if you have any of those licenses, it's going to come with a seat of SolidWorks Visualize. And even if you don't have SolidWorks Visualize on your computer, I still want you to have this lecture just to get the overview, because you never know when you're going to need it in the future. So that's why I'm including this rendering as part of the course. So now to start, I'm in SolidWorks Visualize. So what I'm going to do is browse to my file location, click import parts and model, and I'll browse to the file location where I have my check valve. And this is my check valve. I'll select it and I'll click open. And this dialog import settings comes on, and we want to make sure our geometry, appearance, monitor file, and automatic is selected. Those are the settings I use, and I'll click OK. And now our check valve has import. And just to preview what these items are, the first one is just, it gives you the different views to show the preview on the viewport. So if I click on the first one just shows you the preview without the details, and it makes it easier for you to walk faster in the viewport. And the next one shows you a little bit details into the material, and the last one shows you even much better detail. So normally, to start, when you are just working with stuff, you would want to work in the preview mode so everything is faster. This next one is just a selection. The first one selects the entire model. The second one selects just the part, and the third one selects the two. So if you click on it, it selects the group. So if you have any group, it will select the group. And the last one is the appearance. But normally, I always work mostly on the model and sometimes maybe on the part. And the next one is just the object manipulation too. So when you have that open, you can move this around to where you want it. You can move the individual pieces around as well. So that's what that does. And the last one is where we are going to render our file out. So if I select this render to, and I can render my final output file out to wherever I want to render it. This is the last step we are going to be doing in this lesson, so I'll just close it for now. So now that we've covered that, and another thing I want to cover is, first of all, let's go into click on the model tab. And under the model tab, we'll have our check valve selected. The first thing we want to do is snap that valve to floor. So we'll snap it to floor. And the next thing we want to do is come down to the preview. We want to enable floor shadow, reflect in other model, and reflect other model. So we have that, and as you can see, the detail is coming in even much better. And now to move and rotate your valve around on this viewport, all you need to do is hold down the Alt key and left. If you hold down the left mouse click, you can rotate it. And what you're actually doing is rotating the camera. You aren't actually moving the valve itself. You are moving the camera. So holding the Alt key and the left mouse click does move the cameras just the way I'm rotating it now. And if you right click, it zooms in and out. Right click and holding down the Alt key zooms in and out. And if you hold down the scroll wheel, you can move the camera around, like palm it around. So that is how you rotate your view in the viewport to get the camera you want. So let's say I rotate it and I want something like this. So the next thing we want to do now is, let's just go into the fast mode so we can see everything much better. So once we're pretty much done with this tab, then we're going to go to the next tab. And all these other options are just ways to rotate this view. Mostly I use the Alt key and the left mouse key to rotate my part. and I don't really I don't mess with this too much, but there are just additional options you have to manipulate your object if you need to. Then the next tab we're going to go into is our appearance. The beauty about this is our appearance actually import in the same exact way we left it from SolidWorks, because we added our appearance in SolidWorks. Now our appearance is actually in our SolidWorks visualize file. So we really don't have to mess around with this too much. So if I select the carbon steel, it tells you what appearance, what part of that valve that is added to. And to make your own appearance, all you need to do is right click or create new appearance over here. Select new, then you select the type of appearance you want. You can do paint, and you can click down and select the color you want, and you can, based on the type of appearance you selected, the options will be available for that appearance. So in this case, since we selected paint, clear coat option is available for that. For the paint, then we can change our values for clear coat. And this area of the texture is just areas where we can add bump map. And to add your appearance to your part, you simply take and drag it to the part, and it's that simple. And that's how you add an appearance to a part. But for this one, we are just going to stick with our material that we currently have. And remember when I said the bump map, you load your texture map into this area. For example, our check valve has a bump map, and the bump map allows us to see the grainy, the rough surface on our valve. It gives it more detail, because if I take out that bump map and I hide it, you can see that detail is gone on our valve, and if I enable it, you can see those details again. So that's how the bump map works, and you pretty much have all these options to mess with. And in the scene is where we change the environment. So to change the environment, we simply go into our library. The first library is where the environment that is installed on our computer, and the second one, the globe one, is the cloud environment, the environment that is installed on the cloud for SolidWorks Visualize. So what you simply want to do is I always start with my own environment, and you have the drop down here. You have your camera, environment, image, simply other options based on what category you want. For this, we want the environment, so we're going to click on that. And I'm just simply going to find an environment that I like, that I feel works better for my project. This environment we have now works pretty good too, but let's try this white panel. And as you can see, this white panel even adds more detail to it, in my opinion. So feel free to mess around with the environment and to find whichever one you like best. For me, I'll work with this white panel. And when I click on the scene, the white panel environment is been loaded into my scene. So what I can do is I can adjust the different options for that scene here to get the look, the output I'm looking for. But for now, and another thing I can do is hide the environment. So I always hide the environment, and once you hide the environment, you can change the color to whatever you want, the background color to whatever you want. And another thing we can do is we can right click and select new backplate, and SolidWorks also comes with some black backplates we can use, and if you have any pictures too, you can use them as a backplate. So for example, we can select this studio, and we can select this studio light gray backplate, and as you can see, that backplate has been loaded into our scene. And on our scene, another thing we can check is you can change your floor reflection. We can add something like 0.1, and you'll see now there's more definition on the floor that the valve is reflecting on. Then we just have all these all this option here we can adjust to get the look we're going for. So the next we're going to go into the camera, and the camera view works the same way. And as you can see, if I'm going to hold my Alt key down and left click and rotate, and notice how as I'm rotating, my values is changing in the right hand box. So that's how to change your camera. Pretty much you can change it manually by typing the values in this box, or you can just use your left mouse click and your Alt key to rotate to get the type of view you want. I usually use the left mouse click to rotate and get the type of view I want. So let's say this is the view I want. And another thing you can do is you can right click, Ctrl C to copy your camera, or you can right click on it, copy, and you come to the next tab, right click, paste. And now we can add another camera, and when I click on that camera I can add another view, something like that, and I can move it to the center. So that is pretty much how you work with the camera, and you have all the different settings just to mess around with it to get the looks you're going for. And that is pretty much how the workflow in SolidWorks Visualize. And when you are done, you simply come here, and I'll go back to my first camera. Simply come here, and we are going to select this, and the file name we can name it check valve. Then the output folder, we're going to browse to the file location we want to save it. We're going to save it in our project folder. Select that folder. We want to render it, and the resolution, you can pick the resolutions you want. And for passes, we want to do, I always do like 1500 pass, and that's pretty much all the settings. And once we're done, we're just going to click start render, and our final image is going to render out. I will show you what it looks like in the project. I would attach the final render to your asset folder so you can see what it looks like.